Today we're going to construct a perpendicular bisector using a compass and straight edge, and we're also going to construct some other perpendicular lines. Before we do that, we probably need a definition of perpendicular, and our basic definition is two lines that intersect to form four right angles. Now, what we're constructing is a perpendicular bisector. So we're going to take both that idea of being perpendicular, combining it with that idea of bisecting something. So a perpendicular bisector, taking the definition of above, two lines that intersect to form four right angles. So there's that perpendicular part. And it has to pass through the midpoint of a segment. So when we're saying back here two lines, well, one's going to really actually be a line segment, and the other one would be a line. We'll see that when we actually do the construction. Now when we're looking at right angles, a right angle is just going to be an angle of 90 degrees. And maybe make a little note that just says, well, these are formed by perpendicular lines. Okay. So we're going to go through that construction. And what we need is a compass. So I'm going to get my compass tool. And we're going to construct. Anytime we're saying construct, it always means with a compass and a straight edge. So we're going to construct a perpendicular bisector. So the very first thing that you want to do is put your compass's sharp point on one of the endpoints. And we're going to open up your compass so it's at least more than halfway. You can also go all the way to the end of the segment if you'd like. You don't have to. It just has to be more than halfway. And once you get your compass in position, you're going to take it and you're going to draw an arc above and below the line. Okay. And then from there, we're going to flip it around and do the same thing. We're going to move it over to point B, sharp point at point B. We don't want to change the compass size, keep it the same size, and now do the same thing. We're going to draw an arc. When we're done with our compass, you would take your straight edge, and what you want to do is connect both the intersection points with a straight line. And right there is your perpendicular bisector. Now notice we said back up in the definition, we would have a line and we would have a segment. So AB is our segment, the red line that I just drew in, so that's our line that's going on forever. And it's located at the midpoint. So that point that we just found where the segment and the line intersect, that is your midpoint. So we bisected segment AB and we have formed right angles. Okay, so you have another example that you can try on your own on segment AB on the right hand side. I'll leave that for you to try. On the back page, we're going to do a similar construction. It's just notice this time it's saying it's going to go through point A. Point A is not on the line. So we're still forming a perpendicular line, yet it has a point where it must go through. It must go through point A. So again, we're going to start by getting our compass. And again, we're going to start by making sure our compass goes through the point that it has to go through, point A, meaning I'm going to make sure my sharp point's located at point A. And from there, we want to open up our compass so that when I make my arc, it goes below the line. So if it's not big enough, we're going to have to start over again. The very first thing we want to do is draw an arc that goes below the line. Okay. So now once we have drawn that arc, we're going to take our compass, don't change the size. All we're going to do is move it to a point of intersection. So here is one point of intersection. And with my compass, I'm going to make an arc. I like to make sure it goes above and below. If it goes above and it hits point A, that to me is always telling me I've done it correctly. I'm going to flip my compass around, and I'm going to move it back over to this other point of intersection and do the same thing. So I'm going to draw above to make sure it hits point A, draw below to find a point of intersection. And now mine's slightly off, little human error. But once we find those points of intersection, one should be at point A, one should be on the bottom. And again, with your straight edge, you're going to draw your line. So now again, what have we found? Well, it didn't bisect it because this original line goes on forever, but we have made a perpendicular line to the given line. And if we go below, we have one more construction to try. And this construction is now asking us to make a perpendicular line again, but notice where our starting point is. Our starting point is actually on the line. So again, slightly different. A lot of the same steps are going to be used, but just a different looking picture to begin with. So I'm going to pull our compass down. Just like we did before, I'm going to put my sharp point at point P. I'm going to close this up just a little bit, make it a little bit easier on us. And same thing, we started by just making an arc. I want to make sure the arc intersects the segment at two places, and it does. So from there, just like we did before, I'm going to move my compass so that my sharp point is at one of the intersection points. I'm going to start at this side, and I'm going to draw an arc. And now, do we notice an issue? So the issue with this, because notice we didn't change the size, looks like it's hitting point P. If I try to keep this construction going, we're going to not actually find points of intersection that we need. Okay, so the difference with this one from the last one is that we actually have to change our compass, because if I don't, well, it's not actually going to make an intersection point. So what I'm going to do is extend this. And we are going to, this time, with a wider compass, make an arc. And again, above and below. Okay, from here, I'm going to move my compass, sharp point at that other intersection point that we originally created. That's my original arc. I'm going to draw a line above and below. And notice what happened. So this was the original points of intersection where we placed our compass. These are the new points of intersection that we just found. And when I connect the line, notice it goes right through point P. Okay, so again, just to review, the reason we did not use this original arc when we didn't change the size is it wasn't big enough. I could see it wasn't even going to go to point P. I wasn't going to get a point of intersection. You have to change your compass setting on this one. So maybe make a little note that's going to say change compass size. Just to remind yourself. Okay, hope you like this video. Hope this helped. If you do, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.